which ended beating San Francisco, and San Francisco gets a very interesting wide receiver here, Quinton Patton-Todd out of Louisiana Tech.
Quinton Patton started his career at Coffeyville Community College. He transfers to Louisiana Tech in 2011, starts all 13 games, 1,200 receiving yards. 2012, starts 11 games, 1,400 receiving yards. This guy was a man among boys. He absolutely took Will Davis to school, the Utah State quarterback, and Will Davis got drafted in the 3rd round. The only player remaining on my board with a 2nd round grade is Quinton Patton, and the San Francisco 49ers continue to do this round in and round out, get players that belong a round or two earlier, get players that are higher on other teams' boards, and find productive football players that can come in and play. This draft, Eric Reid's a starter. Cornelius Carradine, Tank Carradine could be a starter and an impact pass rusher. Vance McDonald, tough.
Fills the need when Delanie Walker left.
Get down the field, exactly. Corey Lemanois, my main man, baby. Corey Lemanois coming in off the edge, and now Patton, who's going to be a productive number 3, I think, at the least for this team when it's all said and done.
Got 21 catches against Texas A&M. That put him on the national map. 11 catches. You mentioned that Utah State game against Will Davis. 11 catches for nearly 200 yards in jump ball situations. He gets the best of you. Now, he only did 8 reps at the combine, but he plays a lot stronger than that. There was no evidence of that when you watched him play. Then he does the 8 reps, which kind of raised the red flag. I wouldn't worry about it. He plays faster than times. I thought he was a surefire 2nd round pick. The Niners get him in the 4th round.
Just under 2,600 receiving yards and 24 touchdowns in 2 seasons at Louisiana Tech.
With the 34th pick of the 4th round, number 131 overall, the Ladies of the Empire, on behalf of the San Francisco 49ers, select Marcus Lattimore, running back, Southern Carolina.
Marcus Lattimore goes to San Francisco. Wow.
Frank Gore.
Frank Gore, absolutely.
That's what I was going to say.
With injury issues, with a knee problem coming out of Miami, and has had a heck of a career. And you look at Marcus Lattimore, the way he runs, it's a top 10 to 15 pick in the 1st round. He's a 4th round pick because of the knee injuries too. Significant knee injuries at South Carolina, but this kid is a tremendous young man, works harder than anybody. He will never fumble the football. He'll block for you. He's a tremendous football player, Trent.
High work capacity. When you're going through struggles, you're coming off injuries, you have a high work capacity, high character. Marcus Lattimore has it. You know who else did when he was injured coming out of college? Frank Gore, who's become one of the best backs in the league. Once again, 49ers, brilliant pick for them. Marcus Lattimore, as Bill Polian said earlier, will be able to redshirt. Frank Gore has a lot of juice in the tank. Kendall Hunter will be coming back from injury. The Michael James showed huge productivity late in the year and in the playoffs for the Niners. It gives Marcus Lattimore a year to redshirt, a year to get completely healthy, and then transition into a beast of an offense where his skill set fits perfectly.
I've never seen at a pro day scouts stand up and clap for a guy. It kind of tells you everything that he's about. I don't know that there's any player out there that has had more people in the country and more NFL scouts that know. Most of them know that he's not going to be on their team, but are just pulling for this young man. He's a real inspiration to all of us, so you can fight through everything, anything put in front of you. He's been dealt a horrible hand from a football perspective the last couple of years, and he hasn't flinched. And the fact that he gets this opportunity with a great organization, I'm excited for Marcus Lattimore. I think that this is the right place for him, and if he's ever going to make it, this is the right organization to allow him to take the time that he needs to get back and get ready and to finish what he started.
If you just listen to him talk about his process and talk about, there's no bitterness in his voice. He just says, look, my story relates to everybody. Everybody can understand what I've been through, and that's why I feel like all these people are pulling for me, because everybody's going to have some adversity in their life. He's had it twice already at a very young age, and he still finds himself drafted in the 4th round by, as you said, perhaps the perfect team for him. You just wish good things for this kid after the things that he's been through already in college. For more on this, let's go up to Adam Schefter.
Well, Trey, all along, people around the league felt the 49ers were the natural landing spot for Marcus Lattimore. They had an abundance of picks, and they can't use all those picks on their roster. So if any team were in position to be able to redshirt a player next season, it certainly would be the San Francisco 49ers with Marcus Lattimore. They have an ideal mentor in Frank Gore, who's been through the type of challenges and adversity that Marcus Lattimore has. There are teams around the league that have Marcus Lattimore off their board completely, weren't going to risk picking him. There are other teams who believe that his running style is too high to be able to have a long-standing career. But the fact of the matter is everybody around the league was pulling for Marcus Lattimore and is very glad to see him go to San Francisco. And now, for more Marcus Lattimore, let's send it over to Bill Polian.
Here's why this pick is the right pick at the right time. System fit. Typically, when you have these injuries, you lose lateral quickness. In the San Francisco system, lateral quickness is not a big factor. They square their shoulders, they plant their foot, and they run downhill. Press the hole. That's the way Frank Gore, who's had terrible knee injuries, does it, and that's the way Marcus Lattimore will. It's not only the right fit in terms of developing him and rehabbing him, it's the right system fit, the power running game.
No question, Bill, and he's shown all kinds of power when he was on the field. It's a great story that hopefully has a very happy ending for Marcus Lattimore. 2 knee surgeries in the 4th round and is a Niner.
In the 4th round. Guys, an interesting pick just hit the board moments ago. The San Francisco 49ers take Marcus Lattimore, the running back out of South Carolina that you probably know the backstory of, one of the most talented backs in college football when he was at his best, but 2 severe leg injuries in his time, including the one that ended his career there and ended his college career at South Carolina. But the Niners, with the litany of picks that they had coming into the draft, take a flyer on Lattimore. You think it'll pay off in a year or 2 to come?
Well, this is what you do. First of all, he's the best back in the draft. He's a first-round pick. When you are in a position of strength, you can draft a player you don't need right away. When you have extra draft choices, you can do these kinds of things, and this is how you keep being on the top. They're operating from a position of strength. They're investing in the future. Tank Carradine was the same way. They took a first-rounder and the second-rounder who doesn't have to play it right away. Good job here. Best back in the draft.
Yeah, and he can sit and learn from Frank Gore and Kendall Hunter and really take his time getting back to 100% healthy and behind an outstanding offensive line, a dynamic offense. I think this is a nice selection for sure for the San Francisco 49ers and a good spot for Lattimore.
Yeah, the NFC champions getting another talented player that they don't have to plug in right away.
Marcus Lattimore went in the final throes of the 4th round while we were in our Los Angeles studios. Scott Hansen was manning this pick quite well. Let's have our crack at it, Mike. He's a San Francisco 49er.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, before he hurt the knee the first time, people talked about him as a sure shot first-round pick. I think he's a one-cut slasher. Obviously, the question is medical. There are a lot of teams that have taken him completely off the board. Now, let's take a look at what this guy is. There's the cut, and it's up the field. And I think that's what I like most about him is the way he makes the cuts and then drops pad level. Right there, quickness, feet. Look at the feet there for a big guy. Again, how many people are around him? It really doesn't matter. When you look at the combination of size and footwork right there, you can't but deny his great physical ability. Now, after one ACL, he might have been a late 1 or an early 2. But because of the injury, at this point, he went all the way in the late 4, early 5, and I even hate looking at this video.
Yeah, I know.
It just kind of disturbs me. And let me just say one more time. At his pro day, which I was not at, but I got a bunch of phone calls from, the entire group of scouts, when he got done, he couldn't do football drills, but he did plyometrics. He jumped up on boxes. He did the kind of stuff you're looking at right now. The entire scouting community broke into spontaneous applause just because of the respect they have for this kid. And
what you do is you make a quality person decision. You want this guy in your locker room. He's going to know how to rehab. He's going to give to his team. There's going to be emotion that's derived from that. The team that will surround him, the 49ers, will understand that this is a guy that's pushing. And then when he gets there, he's going to be as good as anybody. He's going to be a north and south runner, a guy that will make you miss, a physical player. good ball skills. And as I recalled in that tape, there was a safety, Eric Reed, that he made miss on the goal line. And I want you to know, I watched that live, and I watched it in my own film room. I still don't know how he got in the end zone.
It's a great, in short areas, what a great cut, Charles.
And one thing about this pick, too, the 49ers are one of those teams that can afford to make this pick.
Exactly.
For all the reasons you articulated, Coach, but the 49ers are loaded with draft picks in this. We didn't figure they were going to use all of them. They could utilize some of these picks to move up, move down, do whatever they wanted to do in this draft. But they're loaded at the running back position. They can afford to wait on the rehab. They kind of have done this before in a sense with Frank Gore, with all the questions he had coming out about knees, willing to take that chance, quality person, big-time player. But, Coach, as you went into a game with him, all those things you talked about, Marcus Lattimore, at his best when he's 100%, what were the things you and your defensive staff said you had to do to try to contain him?
Well, you had to bring more than one guy to the ball. You saw really on the shot that our guy missed the tackle.
And that's a first-round safety.
That was a first-round safety. He stepped right in there. He lowered his shoulder, went to tackle. Guy spun off and then got in the end zone with 3 in the perimeter that were trying to pursue. We needed to corral him. We needed to have more than one. You had to tackle him low, and still you couldn't contain him.
12 games in 2010 at left tackle. 2011 played the right side all 12, and then back to left tackle this past year. He really understands all the different positions along the line.
San Francisco gets another rush in, Quentin Dial out of Alabama.
When you think about Alabama and their scheme, Todd, I mean, you think about 6'5½", 315 pounds. Damian Square as well could be drafted in the late rounds. Thought that as well. Quentin Dial, big kid. You talk about the ideal 3-4 defensive ends. There aren't a lot of them out there right now coming out of the college football ranks. He goes to the 49ers. We talk about good scheme fits. I think he is. I think he needs a little technique work, but this kid has good length, long arms. He fits the dimensions with the athletic prowess he brings to the table of a 3-4 defensive end.
Say it properly.
The 49ers are the latest team on the West Coast or the Northwest to take someone from the Southeast Conference. Quentin Dial is now. I mean, how many defensive ends can one team have?
Well, understand, though, what San Francisco does. They're a base 3-4 defense, and the defensive end in a 3-4 is typically called a 5 technique. He's got to be long with size. He lines up across from the offensive tackle. Quentin Dial, 6'5", 318 pounds with 34.5-inch arms. So he's the quintessential 5 technique. Now, it isn't always great value because typically these guys don't rush the passer with twitchiness. But what they do is stuff the run, push the pocket, and that's what Quentin Dial is.
Those Okie defenses, those defenses that employ 5 techniques, this guy's fits them to a T. He's a line of scrimmage, run stopper, has mobility, gets off, makes plays. We had to know where he was.
And Nick Moody is kind of a safety outside linebacker type who, to me, you look at him, 6'1", 236 pounds, really good fit as a weak outside linebacker type, and he's got some quickness and some athleticism, and he's good in coverage. You see the good ball skills there, catching the ball over his head, good range. You got to protect him. The thing with Moody is he can cover kicks. So you know that about him. That's a lock right away. It gives him time, buys him time to be on that roster, and ultimately he's going to have to make it and prove that he can play on the defensive side as a will. But right away, I think he comes in and contributes on specials.
Yeah, but anybody drafted by the Niners better be able to play on team just to make the team.